California and every other state would be banned. They also voted, which I think is pretty amazing and somewhat bizarre, to ban people that teach and have an accent from teaching English. Again, not done anywhere else in the country, and they're not only, this is not just a symbolic statement, they're actually sending out auditors to go to every classroom in the state of Arizona and listen to whether they have an accent or not. If they have an accent, they will either have to remove that accent with training, or they will not be able to teach English as a second language. Again, I think these are all very bizarre things, and they make me wonder about where they're headed.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me finish.
Yeah,
because I'm answering what I said, and everyone else is listening to what I said from what Ken and John said. What I said. What I said was I lost relatives in the Holocaust. I lost my aunt because she didn't believe that some of these kinds of things were going on, and she never believed them. And what I said was, how does this compare to what was going on in 1933 and earlier, the very subtle beginnings of what was going on in Nazi Germany? If you look at what was going on then, it bears some similarities to what's going on in Arizona. And I thought that the folks in Arizona need to be called on it rather than them just continuing to do more and more things in this direction, more and more scapegoating. And we all have problems with the illegal immigration issue. California is impacted just as much as Arizona, maybe more so. Texas is impacted more dramatically, maybe more so. How come these states are not doing it? In fact, you have Californians complaining about what Arizona is doing because we don't think this is the appropriate way to deal with it. I don't disagree that illegal immigration is a problem. I don't think we can take the world's population in the United States and take care of them. But I don't think this is the answer. I think this is a very dangerous approach, and that was what I tried to say. This is a very dangerous approach in my view, and I think not calling Arizona on it, I think would be the cowardly thing to do, and taking the abuse that we get from talk radio.
But closing up and down Ventura Boulevard, Ralph's plans to build a superstructure on the store site. The next question is, do you support Ralph's effort to change the height requirements of the specific plan? I've been contacted by email. They never showed me what they were planning to do. I was under the impression that they were remodeling the present facility. Last email, they showed us a monstrosity that they're planning with additional height and additional retail space. Ralph's is proposing the largest Ralph's store in Los Angeles. A smaller store could include an on-grade parking lot with one level of underground grading. A smaller store could comply with the Ventura Boulevard specific plan. Why isn't Ralph's building a green building that follows the city's LEED requirements, L-E-E-D-S? Don't you think it would be a show of good faith for our environment if they did? And then the last question is kind of having to do with it, but it's since city law specifies building limits in the Ventura Boulevard specific plan restrictions, why doesn't the city council office insist on plans being submitted that conform with the building laws and listen to the arguments asked for variances? And I'm just kind of curious. I know that you've taken a position on the Ralph's, that you're looking into it. But I just heard you say on the Ambassador Hotel or the Century Park Hotel that you Century Plaza, thank you, that you don't want anything that will violate the specific plan. So how is that different than this different?
Well, first of all, I'm working with the developer at the front end, and he's been very responsive. So I just asked him, don't bring me anything that violates the specific plan. And I know the site, there's no reason why he'd need to. Other than to just make it a bigger project. So I think it'll be easy for them, if they actually want to bring a development, to stay within the specific plan limitations, and this developer has been very reasonable. As far as the Ralph's, I've been working with the developer of that site. They came up with a project that was 37 feet high in front, which is a violation of the specific plan. I asked them to work to get closer, if not within the specific plan, ideally within it. I saw a second round of drawings. It was at 36 feet. So I just said, hey, you haven't done it. Come back with something that works. And I've been told in general terms that they have a plan. I didn't get to see it today, but I got a call from them today that they say will make me happier. So I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it clearly they think it's a step in the right direction, and they know what I've told them multiple times. So I'm hoping it's within the specific plan or closer to it. I'm trying to respond to the community, both SOHA and the neighborhood council. The neighborhood council approved the project as it was and said, this is a beautiful project, let them build it. And the last time I spoke with them, they said, why haven't you approved this yet? So we're obviously have two groups that are coming at it from two different directions. My approach is try to be as close to the specific plan as possible. If it was 5 inches above it, I know there are plenty of people here that would say, that's 5 inches too much, you've got to be within the exact specific plan. I will try to be as close to it as I can. I'm not guaranteeing that there won't be any kind of variation at all, but I think the specific plan exists for a reason, and we want to make it work as closely to it as we can.
Okay. The next few questions have to do, they're different questions, but they're having to do with the city and its budget issues. If the Los Angeles County can and has set up and they use a rainy day reserve fund for financial recessions, why can't the city and why can't LAUSD? Why is it such a big stumbling block? How many government chauffeurs drive them, and which offices? And if the current budget crisis isn't enough for you to consider reducing city workforce under the circumstances, what would you consider doing? Isn't the current budget solution being proposed only as a temporary fix to the city's budget crisis? Isn't the only long-term solution to reduce the city's workforce, reduce the pension obligations to the city's unionized workforce, and reduce the city's contributions to the unionized workers' healthcare cost? And then the last one is, Spain is having severe money problems similar to the city of Los Angeles and the state. The president of Spain recently cut 5% of the civil service people and 15% of all ministry positions, plus can't read this. Why doesn't the city council also do the same attempt to save the city and the state from bankruptcy? Also take all the automobiles from government employees. That's it.
Let me see if I can remember all of those. I'll start with the Spain example. I don't know if anyone here wants us to cut police and firefighters, but we've already cut 20% of the rest of our workforce. So they cut 5% or 15%. We've already done more. My thought is it would be good to do that first, digest it and see how much we lose in terms of services and how much more we can cut. We'll continue cutting gradually because we have a hiring freeze on all but police. So there'll be several hundred employees cut every year just by the freeze. If we do it more dramatically, as I told you before, we're looking at a cut of about 700 employees where we don't save any money, at least in the first year. So I'm hoping we don't do that. I'm not sure if I remember the rest of the questions, but if you give me a hint, I know what the first one was when I wanted to answer.
Automobiles and chauffeurs.
Automobiles and chauffeurs. I don't have a chauffeur. I would laugh at the idea. I think I'm the only council member that drives his own car and doesn't take a city car. And it's not because I have a great car. I have a crummy old Chevy Malibu, but it worked fine before I got elected, and it's fine after I got elected. I also took a 10% salary cut the day I started, partly because we're in a bad financial position, and partly because I knew I was going to want to go to the union and say, you guys need to take a 5% cut.